The Polek and Polek webinar, You Don't Know Jack, Part 2. So I want to break this down and show you what we've got. But first, we've got to start with something that I think is tremendously important. So say this with me. I don't know Jack. And I want you to scream it from where you're at. If you're watching this in your cubicle, I want you to yell it from the top of your lungs so people around you are going, what the heck is going on with this guy? Say it with me. I don't know Jack. I don't know Jack about you. I mean, you got to get big with it because you got to bust through all that stuff that you've had in your, psyche and the way you've been doing things forever. You got to bust out of that. Man, you got to get emotional about it. I don't know Jack. That is the single number one thing that any good service person has to say every single time they get in front of somebody. And it's hard, man. It's hard. It's the reason why you have round one, an entire flip chart of opinion. Even though you weren't there when I bought that phone, you don't know what I need. You don't know my story, but you've purchased phones before. You've seen commercials before. You might have dealt with these people for all week, for the last 7 days, 10 of them a day. And all of a sudden you start to see patterns and something terrible happens. Is you stop listening to me as a person and you start listening to all the things that you've heard over and over again. And you think you know Jack, when in reality, I may sound similar to the things that you've done, but if you don't confirm it, you're playing blindfold darts, man. And that's exactly right. You're just shooting darts in the dark and you're hoping that they land because you've heard it all before. This is especially true with veterans. I don't know Jack is an approach and a philosophy that says as a professional, as a one percenter, it is not easy to scrape off the barnacles and be fresh every single time I get in front of somebody. That's where the skill set comes in. But let's talk about the benefits of when you do know Jack and how to apply it to build the greatest value in your solutions to get people to buy in. Okay, so let's get into it first. We're going to talk about the assessing the wants and needs and leading them through a solution. So let's start with the assessing part first. My question to you is, I think you get the idea that when I have somebody's verbiage, I can build more value, and I think I'm dealing with the right solutions. But how do you know you have the whole story? How do you know you've got the right amount of information for you to put together a complete story, a complete solution? Man, there is nothing worse than going in and having either a service on a product or buying a new product and then walking away, driving down the street and realizing I didn't get this, I should have got this. I'll give you an example. Let's go back to cell phones. Have you ever been in a kiosk at a mall that sold nothing but cellular attachments and tchotchkes and all kinds of cases and things like that don't even sell cell phones? Why is that? Why does that industry exist? Shouldn't they have bought that in the same store they purchased their phone? And the answer is yeah. And you know why? Because salespeople are not as good as they're supposed to be. Service people are dropping balls left and right, and they're leaving opportunities to help this customer get a little bit deeper in with our organization because they've solved problems, but they haven't connected them to other solutions that we may offer them. And so $1 billion industry has risen from a need that it was not being met because even though we had them in the palm of our hands, whether we're getting them involved in a product or we're servicing a product, but we're not finding the opportunities to go deeper than just solve what we have. And literally millions and millions and millions of dollars of opportunity are left on the table. What do you do? How do you know you have the whole story? Oh, so many questions I can ask on this. And if I was getting feedback, we'd have a real nice learning moment. But let me cut to the chase. When I'm listening for two things. One is I'm listening for solutions, because as I ask you questions and you start to say what your need is, I have a tendency to say, okay, I can help you with that. I can help you with that. But I'm also listening for power phrases or the customer's verbiage, because you saw in that example that when I had round two, I was able to make the solutions a little bit more custom fit and the value of what I'm offering goes way up. So when somebody's talking, I'm listening for those two things, solutions and verbiage. But the question remains is, how do I know I have enough of the information? I call it the bucket system. And this is one of the biggest tips you're going to get today. So pay attention. The bucket system is basically the main categories of things that I'm going to provide for you in a solution that I want to ensure I'm getting enough of. So It's not, buckets are not questions. Buckets are categories that I know I'm going to solve. So I'm going to ask questions around your product, or I'm going to ask questions around the installation, or I'm going to ask questions around who's using this, the people that are involved. I'm going to ask questions around, how you're going to get the most out of this, your ROI, or maybe even budget. Buckets are categories that can list multiple questions. Bucket is not just a one question, because that would be a question. A category is something I need lots of information around in order to paint a picture for. Let me give you an example. As I'm asking about buckets or categories, I'm listening for the solutions, and I'm putting the answers in each of those buckets. And I'm also listening for their verbiage, because I know that not only am I going to offer a solution, but I'm going to pepper in their verbiage to make that connection. So I'm listening for both. And so let me give you an example. One of my clients has basically 4 categories, and I like to stay around 4. There's no magic number about 4. You can have less, you can have more, but they're categories of commonality in almost all of the things I provide solutions for. So I go to my solutions that I offer most likely as I'm talking to customers, whether it's products involved or whether I'm a service person just handling questions online or face-to-face. And it's answers this question: what do you want your customer to tell you about that would help you hone in, laser focused, and say, I want to make sure that I'm dealing with this, that I'm dealing with this, that I'm dealing with this. What do you want your customer to tell you? Can you put those questions or those pieces of information into categories? What you're going to find is there's usually around 4. Sometimes there's more, but not more than 5. Sometimes there's less, but there's a little bit more. I like 4. I just like 4. Nothing magic about 4. This particular client has all of their sales and service people, when they're having an interaction, they make sure that they talk about these 4 categories. I want to talk to you about the coverage that you're going to use for this cell phone. I'm going to talk about the hardware that you're looking for, how you're going to use it, what type you like, what type you don't like, what have you used in the past. See, there's lots of questions that go into that category. I'm also, because I'm not going to be the type of salesperson that leaves extra stuff on the table, so I'm going to ask about the accessories you want with your phone or the way you're going to use it. I'm listening for accessories, and I'm listening for features. In other words, as I'm solving the problem, I'm also trying to ensure that I'm going to give a complete solution. This one happens to be coverage, hardware, accessories, and features. So notice that when I'm talking about these things, they are broad brush, one-word category titles: coverage, hardware, accessories, and features. The nice thing about that is I can also take the first letters and make them into a little word. So in my training, I'm going to make sure that I always talk about the chafe of my relationship with my customers. So in this company, they literally took the word chafe, and that is my conversation. Every time I'm in a service call, every time I'm in a sales situation, I'm going to talk to you about what type of coverage are you looking for? What type of hardware are you using? What do you want? What do you not like? What type of accessories do you need? What type of features do you want? Here's what it's done for them. It's given them complete solutions. So not only did their sales go way up with their salespeople from selling complete solutions. I'm not just selling you a cell phone, and I'm not selling you a hands-free device or extra batteries or insurance with your phone, because I didn't bring it up, because I just wanted you to get your coverage and your hardware, and left the rest on the table. And because of this, the sales went through the roof. The volume of sales, how much they sold, the quality of the sale went much higher because they were bringing it up in a logical way with the client. But also in the service department, they ensure that those little opportunities of things that I'm seeing a problem with their coverage or their hardware they're unhappy with, but I'm also ensuring as I'm listening to them talk that maybe this feature would really help. Let's add that to the phone. Or maybe this accessory that they don't have would really do them some jobs down the road. And so additional sales have gone through the roof. And if you're a service person that doesn't do sales, pass it on to somebody who does, and they will love you forever. I love the idea of complete conversations. That's the whole point of the bucket system. Let me give you one more example. Totally different client. They sold jewelry, And so they talked about the occasion. Tell me about the occasion. Notice there's lots of questions that can go underneath that title. What's going on? Why? What's special about it? Why is this huge? What do you need to know? The products. What type of products are you looking for this particular occasion? How is this going to benefit of it? You know, what are you looking for and why? Who is this for? Is this for you? Is this for somebody else? Are there more than one recipient? And I'm listening also and asking about any additional information. This happened to be a jewelry company. And the reason why this particular system was so important to them is I did a secret shop with them. And I could probably do a secret shop with you, especially if you're working with copiers. And I can do some secret shopping with you, even on a service call. And I play this little game. With this particular company, I walked into 10 stores 4 times a day. So 10 times, 4 different times during the day. And I had $1,000 in my pocket every time I walked into the store. Sometimes I went in as a couple. Sometimes I went in by myself. Sometimes I had a woman go in by herself, but we went 4 times, 10 different locations, $1,000. Here was the game. I had to say yes every time they asked me to buy something or if I was happy with the solution. And if they asked me to buy something or additional products, I had to say yes, up to $1,000. So 4 times 10 is 40, $1,000 a piece, that's $40,000. How much money do you think I spend on average? Because I do this secret shopping quite often. Now with this particular client, less than $1,000. It was a little over $800. Why is that? 2 reasons. Number one is they're not completing the service call. They're not looking for additional products to sell. They're just solving what's in front of them and they're moving it forward. Or they're, as salespeople, they're not asking for the order, mainly because they're not dealing with Jack. They're just throwing suggestions out there. Let me give you an example. With this particular company, I mean, you can try it. Go to a mall, walk into a jewelry store, and they'll just start showing you stuff. You know, what are you looking for? Well, I'm looking for, and this was my story. I'm looking for a bracelet for my wife. And they bring you over to the bracelet area and they'll start showing you bracelets. Anything you like? I don't know. She kind of likes stones. And she goes, okay, well, we've got the wife. What type? And they may ask you some things and they'll start showing you stuff. How about this? How about this? How about this? How about this? To the point where it's almost a bit of fatigue. It's going to happen every time you do it. Rarely will they ask you to buy something. So I end up leaving. But the sad thing is my story was I'm buying a bracelet for my wife because our daughter's getting married and I wanted something for my wife that was special. And so they could have jacked up all kinds of things to make it special. You know, to really make this special with my wife. But I was also the father of the bride. They missed an opportunity to get something for the bridal party, for the groomsmen, for the parents of the groom. If they knew the occasion was a wedding, can you imagine the additional opportunities that were at their disposal to help me look like a superstar, to bring gifts, on a bulk basis to these folks and really be taken care of as the father of the bride to look good. I was never once asked that, never once. And to the dismay of the CEO who quickly hired me to bring in. So how did we fix it, Mike? We gave them this little system. Every time somebody comes in, you talk about Oprah. You talk about the occasion. You talk about the products. You talk about the recipient. And you talk about any additional things they're looking for. Don't let an opportunity to know Jack go, because solutions show up when I start asking full things. What are your buckets? What are your buckets? What do you have? If you were to boil it down to 4 categories, and I mean by categories where you can ask lots of questions underneath them, but what type of categories would you not want to miss that if you had them talk to you about it, oh my gosh, they would set you up to knock it out of the park? What would those be? Think about it and send me a note. I would love to help you think it through. I really, really would. And we'll talk about that in a second. Let's take a break. I'll let you think about that for a second, but I want you to watch this, a little video sponsored by Polek and Polek about something that is going to help you with your skill sets that we've been talking about today and much, much more. Take a look.
Having influence in our world is a challenging thing. But we've all seen those people around us that really seem to have it. Those ones that we want to imitate, that just seem to move things forward. Maybe we want our people to own their positions. Having influence is, well, it's pretty much genetic. Your personality. No, your personality goes out the window when you add a little stress. You know that, right? I'm going to take you through the elements of real influence in an interaction that will set you up for success. We're going to dive into the positive mindset, writing skills, first impressions, power phrases, guiding decisions, showing appreciation and saying thanks, being unexpected, managing emotions, owning your interactions. It's going to be so fun. This Cup of Hoff series is designed to be fast-paced, motivational, inspirational, and focused on techniques that you can apply immediately. I love me a Cup of Hoff. That was delicious. Come join us. Become a person of influence. 3 lumps, no cream. Goes down smooth. I can't wait to get mine every week.
I love me a cup of Hoff. You know, Chris from Polek and Polek has done something really great. This Cup of Hoff series that we've created is a 12-week series. And basically what it is basically it comes to you every single week. Every Monday morning, you start off with a little cup of Hoff. It's usually around 5 minutes, sometimes a little bit longer for the bigger topics, but it's 2.5 minutes of content. Here's the one thing, the one cup, the one idea on people skills, on tactical skills, on building value, on building stronger teams, on being effective in your written communication, on having a heart for service. So it's the mind, it's the heart, it's the skill sets of influence, and they're brought to you every single week. So you've got about 2.5 minutes of content, maybe another 2.5 minutes of what we call a Hoff shot, or a little challenge for the week on how to apply what we've brought up. And then, of course, there's some shenanigans and fun things to kind of keep you coming back, so that they're just fun to watch, something to share. As a matter of fact, they're award-winning. These awards, that you see in the background, came from from 2 industry awards ceremonies that deal with online training. So not only is the writing and the production value very, very high, but they are tremendously effective. And that is sponsored by Polek and Polek. Chris has really done a great job. As a matter of fact, $295 for this particular program is what you buy if you came to my website at ignitingperformance.com and invested in it. But not today, my friends. As a matter of fact, Chris from Polek and Polek has absolutely taken everything and paid for it already. Yes, that's right. It is free, my brothers and sisters. It is absolutely free. All you've got to do is sign up for it. He's paid for it for a year. You'll have access to all 12 weeks of those videos for an entire year to watch over and over and over again. I don't know what you're doing to invest in yourself, you 1%ers, what you're doing to be open to learning, to adapting to your particular situation, and to apply these things. But you need to sign up. It's absolutely free. Take advantage of this. It won't be around forever. And make sure that you let Chris know that you appreciate it too. What the heck? You can stop at any time you want to, but get involved and get it started and invest in yourself. Here's how you do it. You let Chris know. So go to CJPOLEK at Polek, POLEK.com, and let him know that you want to sign up. He'll get you the link and get you signed up absolutely free, and waive the $295 that he has already paid in your honor. Now, he does have limited seating, so it's first come, first serve, but I'm going to let him tell you no, and get you involved in joining us for a cup of Hoff. Make sense? All right. That's my quick commercial. Back to the story. All right. Now, we talked about wants and needs and how to identify what we're doing through our bucket system. And how long do you talk? I get that people all the time. Well, how long do you ask questions? And my answer is, well, I know what I'm listening for. I've got my 4 buckets and I have them right in front of my face all the time. Sometimes I've got them written down and I can write them as people are talking. Or sometimes I can just see the buckets right in front of my face. And as they're talking, I'm filling it with verbiage, filling it with solutions. And when I've got all 4 buckets, I'm done. People ask me, do I have to ask questions in each bucket? The answer is no, just fill the buckets. If you get a chatty patty and you ask one question and they fill up everything you need, solutions and verbiage in each bucket, you're done. Just make sure that you confirm that you've got everything that they're looking for. There you go. So now what do we do with that information? I hear you cry. Let's talk about how we use it to build more value than you've ever done before. How do you build value? Let's talk about that. Well, here's some just some good sales 101. But you know, when we're selling solutions as service people, we're selling ideas. So let's talk about some basics here. There's the feature and there's the benefit. The feature is the thing, it's the part of the solution that I'm focusing on, and the benefit is my knowledge. The benefit is what it does for them. Now, the fact that these two things are important is understated because it's everything. Have you ever heard the expression that people they don't buy the feature, they buy the benefits? Well, that's exactly right. So I don't buy features, I buy benefits. A very old example is this, and you might have heard of this, but I think it still works. Last year, America, in the United States, we sold a ton. I'm talking millions of quarter-inch drill bits, millions of them. But not one of those people wanted a quarter-inch drill bit. What we wanted was a quarter-inch hole. Hey, that's feature and benefit. The feature is the drill, and we have to have it. This is the thing. Let me explain to you why we want to go down this road for this solution. Let me recommend why I'm going to recommend this. It's the solution that I'm offering, but it's the why that's so important, and it's my knowledge that builds that benefit. I'm going to build benefits. If I'm going to ask you to be happy with this solution, I've got to build this much value in it. So I've got to understand the difference between features and benefits. The feature is the thing, the benefit is what it does for you, especially my knowledge around it. That's what I'm telling you. So let's take an example, roadside assistance. Roadside assistance is a very specific product. It's there for, in case you get a flat tire, or if you need a jump, or if you lock your keys in the car. It's a great product for safety and security. It's available 24/7. It's an extra $3 on your plan. Should I add that to the plan, Mr. Hoffman? So that's what a feature and a benefit is. The feature is the thing. The benefit is my information on it that builds value. Okay, that's what a 1%er does. I mean, this is what we're trained to do. Here's what I recommend. This is why. Here's what I recommend. This is why. All right, that does build value, don't get me wrong. A 99%er actually sounds pretty moochy. Mr. Hoffman, I'm going to recommend roadside assistance. It's a great product. It's an extra $3 on your plan in case you get a flat tire, if you need a jump, or if you lock your keys in the car. It's wonderful for safety and security, and it's available 24/7. Should I add that to your plan? Sounds pretty moochy, right? Yeah. Well, there's another column. There's a column that most people don't consider. And you do because you're a 1%er and you know Jack. And that is the customer's verbiage, the customer's benefit, the benefit that comes from only the customer's mouth. It's the verbiage that they use that made you go, that's why he's buying this solution. That's why I need to help him with this. That's why we're going to go down this road. And when I add their verbiage, the value goes way up. Let me give you an example. Mr. Hoffman, I'm going to recommend roadside assistance. It's an extra $3 a plan. It's in case you get a flat tire, if you need a jump, or if you lock your keys in the car. It's a wonderful product for safety and security. It's available 24/7. I'm going to recommend it to your plan because if you're missing your business because of flights, or if you can't get to a phone fast enough, then you need this on your phone because it doesn't matter what car you're in, even if you're driving. If you're having car trouble, it actually comes to you no matter where you're at because it's on the phone, not the car, and they'll get you to where you need to go faster. You know, I'm also going to recommend it for your wife's phone because if she's soccer mom, if she's got those 4 kids and you're not there and she happens to be stuck on the side of the road, well, they stay in the car and help comes to them. I recommend it for both your phones. That's $3 a plan, so that's an extra $6 a month. Should we do business? Do you see the difference? Anytime I'm offering a solution, whether I'm charging them for them or not, if I'm just trying to service my customers, I want to build as much value as I can. And the feature and the benefit is good. But what a 1%er does is they use the power phrases, the verbiage that the customer uses to make the connections to what they're offering so much faster and so much more complete. I don't even have to argue. As a matter of fact, it doesn't matter the order you put these in. I mean, you could, once you know you got to have all 3, then it's kind of fun. You can start off with, Mr. Hoffman, I'm going to recommend for your mom. If your wife's a soccer mom, it's 24/7 for her too, in case she gets a flat tire and needs a jump, or for safety and security, if she's got those 4 kids, get the roadside assistance because it's going to come to her. So it doesn't matter the order, but the fact that I've got that customer verbiage, that Jack, the verbiage that only comes from them, then I get it. Because if I had you raise your hand right now and I said, has anybody in this room purchased roadside assistance? I'd have at least 4 people raise their hand. And if I asked you why you get roadside assistance, I'd hear all kinds of things. And trust me, I've heard everything. I've heard things from, well, I'm a traveling person. My entire life's on the road and I don't want to be stuck on the road because I don't want to lose any business. To, no, my daughter's 16 and I'm terrified that she's going to be on the road by herself. To, oh no, I'm never changing a tire again. I did that once and I'm out, Jack. I'm not changing a tire. To, I don't know how to jump a car, so I'm lost. Get it? So I could give them the first column, the feature, and the second column will always be the same in all 4 of those people. But that one person bought it because he's got a 16-year-old daughter and he's terrified to have her alone without help coming to her. He's going to buy it because he's changed a tire before and he's never doing that again. He's bought it because he's a traveling person and he doesn't want to lose business. He's doing it because he didn't have a clue as to how to jump a car and wouldn't know how to do it in the first place. Same 2 columns, third column completely different every single time. People tell me all the time, Mike, does sales get boring? You've sold the same thing for years. And the answer is no, because that third column is different every time I talk to somebody. And when it's not, I start to get a little nervous because maybe I don't know enough Jack to really make it personal. What do you think? You know, it sounds so simple. And yet I deal with veterans all the time that when I go through this little exercise, it catches them too. Why did I spend $1,000 on my phone? Everybody's got an opinion. Well, when did you become part of the psychic network? It's easy because you've got so much experience. You've been solving these problems for years, and you've got to be reminded that you don't know Jack. Listen, I know you've got questions and you've probably got some observations. So, and I know you're listening to this recorded. So if you've got any and you want to share with me or anything I can help you with, please reach out. You know, Chris from Polek and Polek has done such a great job in sponsoring this entire webinar. I want to continue to honor his investment in you and by throwing my email out there. And I promise you, if you send me an inquiry, if you send me a question around these particular topics, I'd be more than happy to throw in my 2 cents and do a little one-on-one with you. I really will. I can't encourage you enough to take advantage of the investment they made in you. They've literally paid for it already. They've literally paid for your $295 program. That's what you'd have to pay if you went to my website right now and purchased it. And I've been selling this for years. And it's actually, it's undercut because this is a 12-week program that has tremendous value, but they've already bought it for you. So it blows me away that people don't hang this up and go sign up right now and then reach out to me and let's connect. I'd be more than happy to help in any way that I can. You know, thanks for spending some time with me. This might have been a little bit of an investment of time with you. This kind of went on for a while, but I have to tell you, service is a people game. And it's the ones that own it, even though, you know, they may have experiences like this where, you know, our customers aren't necessarily the nicest to us. We may love them to death, but they burp on us all the time and you got to deal with it. And it's the people that own what they say. It's the people that own what they do. And it's the people that build teams on purpose that really come across as a 1%ers. And it takes skill, brother. I mean, it really, really does. What are you doing to invest in your skills? I've got one last list of ideas to help you kind of take your game to the next level. Number 1, invest in the cup of Hoff. Do it today. Absolutely do it today. Reach out to Chris and let him know that you want to get signed up for a cup of Hoff. A burger buddy is somebody that you take out to lunch once a month and ask this question. So what's working? And really just listen for the skill sets that they use, the things that they do. And remember the 3 areas of a 1%er. You be open to new ideas. Don't expect them to be a genius. Just expect them to tell you what's working. You're the one that has to adapt it to you. So you're the one working. Can I use this? Can I not use it? And as all the greats have said, you take the best and leave the rest. And you find something to apply. Constantly be adding to your game, upping your game. Be open to learning, adapting, and applying, and you'll find what happens to your skill sets. I don't care how long you've been doing what you're doing. Go through the roof. My friends, service is not for the faint of heart. It's really not. There's a difference between a job and a profession. A job is something I can get good at because it's repetitious, but a profession is something I'm constantly learning for the rest of my life. And service and sales is a profession, and it's all about people. What are your skill sets that you're adding to your bag when it comes to people? Service is about skill sets. Service is about listening. It's about listening to the jack of the person in front of you. And it's hard, but I don't know it. I don't know jack about you. So I'm willing to listen. Friends, true professionals own it. True professionals do it on purpose. And it's been my pleasure to spend this time with you and talk about some of the skill sets that I find the greats do and do well. Chris, I have to tell you, thanks once again for sponsoring this and really kind of covering all costs. Thanks for kind of hanging out with me. I'm all relaxed. I hope you were too. Make an investment in yourselves. Sign up for a cup of Hoff. If you didn't get the email, I believe it's CJ Polek at polek.com. Or rewind and make sure that's exactly right. But I think it's CJ Polek at polek.com, and let him know you want to sign up for a cup of Hoff and get even more tactics, more techniques on the skill sets of being a person of influence. This is Mike Hoffman for Cup of Hoff. See you next time. Cheers.